morning to everybody. The topic today is resetting globalization in an era of uncertainty.
We now have a globalized internet in which essentially there's a single conversation. And that means that every country needs to think about how it plays, how it's understood, not only at home, but also abroad.
In the United States, inflation remains stubbornly high. We have seen the Fed taking strong action regarding interest rates.
I was the first actually to warn about all the inflation that we had. I bemoaned the fact that the Fed was so far behind the curve. I wanted them to start raising rates at the end of 2020 and certainly into 2021. People were shocked when in June I turned around and said, I fear the Fed and the anticipation of the markets is going to become too tight too soon. And the pendulum has swung.
Tell us something positive. We've talked about a lot of challenges. Just tell us something that is positive.
Oh, I'm very positive about stocks. I think they're 20% undervalued. They may get a little more undervalued until the Fed gets it, when it begins to see some things that, you do have a slowdown for longer term. This is an absolutely great buying time. And so I'm very, very optimistic and very, very optimistic about the future path of the economy.
The revival of Ukraine, the victory of Ukraine, the victory of NATO, and the victory of the democracies, I won't say the West, because it's democracies all over the world, has the potential to revitalize democracy, to pull people together across the globe, and to give people confidence in that political system and that way of thinking.
And the other positives is that, as we know, in difficult times where there are challenges, there are also opportunities. And we see lots of opportunities in our footprint. You do too. And we're always ready to work with you to help you navigate the challenges, but also to identify the opportunities and realize them. In spite of all the negative views on the world economy that we have been hearing during these days, we have also heard and been party to conversations on how to reset globalization in a way that keeps the best of it, but gets rid of some of its negative implications. And that is something which goes through making it more inclusive, making it more sustainable, and therefore making globalization something which serves better the purpose of people and the planet.
The next few quarters will be challenging with the energy crisis, especially in Europe. But looking forward, I think we're going to see a lot more investment in energy globally. And what we could see as an important silver lining is a lot more investment in renewables and clean energy on the back of this crisis. I think there's going to be a lot more focus on energy diversification as well globally. I know, being based in the Middle East, there's a lot of investment, including in gas, and Europe will be an important destination for this.
Energy demand is on the rise, and without really solving the climate financing gap in emerging markets and accelerating blended finance to these markets quickly, we are not going to solve the climate crisis. And there's also a need to get innovative about the structures, about the financial structures, and that's needed from all dimensions of finance. There's a real need to work together on this. There's a huge financing gap, both to address the greenhouse gas emission reductions in emerging markets, but also to address and finance adaptation. I'm optimistic that the conversations have been real at the IMF, that there has not been a glossing over of the lack of finance, that there are discussions from really the leaders of multilateral development banks, private finance institutions, that there is insufficient funding and that there is impetus and a need and an obligation and an opportunity to get there.
What we're hearing from clients is that, in general, there are challenges going ahead. However, there are opportunities in certain key places. And interestingly, quite a few of those places in the world where clients see opportunities resonate with our footprint. Everyone who's a production center for commodities, principally energy and everything that derives from crude oil, sees an extremely bright outlook going into 2023 and beyond. Some of the countries in our footprint will see challenges, and clients are a little cautious ahead of that. In fact, one of the clients sort of spoke about the heavily overused phrase cautiously optimistic, and he'd like to kind of change that to being vigilantly optimistic, largely sort of signifying the challenges that they see going forward.
In spite of all the talk that we hear about reshoring, onshoring, shortening global supply chains, there is also a lot of activity regarding the international diversification of global supply chains in order to make them more resilient. This is extremely important because that diversification happens through sort of investment flows across the world.